Meow meow. Meow meow. Meow 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 meow. Anyway, let's do artifact farming. I gotta keep my voice down. Meow 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 meow.
Let's go. Time is against us.
Wonder. So, no electro. I haven't feeling Gundusar in a while. I have no idea how to. Although I really like her character design. I don't know how to incorporate her. Oh, my avatar. You guys can see my phone. Meow 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 meow. Recharge. The minute it now goes down, what the frick? Something's wrong with my avatar. I don't think I can use it today. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Okay, I hope that restarting it solve the problem. Meow meow meow. I wanna focus. Oh frick. That's not right. I mean, she also looks like my avatar. I wish she doesn't. Maybe the bangs. Kinda. She's like my adult version. Don't you guys think? Meow 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 meow. Energy recharge. Frick. Let me put the live chat on. Meow meow meow. I actually started early today, and yeah.
Speed of light.
Okay, I didn't know it was these guys.
You asked for it. No turning back. Flash. Cut to the chase. Incoming.
This is not good.
I'm getting sick.
Now testing my patience.
Speed of light. Drop your weapons.
Gotcha.
Quiver. Storm the front. Flash. With sword comes shadow. Final warning. Strike. Justice will prevail. Cut to the chase. Flash. Drop your weapons. Income. I'm
Get back!
Man, that was doable. But it wasn't the walk in the park. Frick. Oh, this is what I was ranting about the other day. Didn't give me what I wanted. What would have been enough. Frick. So yes, yesterday I was rambling about solar also, and how lucky I am that I bought months before. It's very expensive nowadays. Grabe. It's like 10,000 pesos more than how much I got it for. $10,000 more expensive.
I got you, boss.
You know, I think
You want me on your team?
she's pretty viable. Kojo Sara. I like her. Okay. Meow. Energy recharge. Okay, not good. So for planet, it's really HP. HP. $23. Okay, then this is way better. Hello. How are ya? Meow.
You asked for it. Look alive! Ha! I'm going in! Glory to the Shogun! Quiver!
Locos.
Strike! Let's light it up! Buckle up! Ha!
Yeah, I play video games and ramble about my day.
Let's light
That's
it up!
what I do.
Quiver! Let's get it on! Teamwork is dreamwork! Flash!
I think I got her back in 2024.
What is going on, travelers?
Maybe early 2025.
In today's video, we are going to be going over a build guide and damage showcase on Kujo Sar. We're going to be looking both at her support capabilities and as a main DPS. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, Sar is a buffer and support unit in Genshin Impact, but there's a lot of really cool capabilities. Okay, so let's go ahead and break it down. So for talents, her normal attack Tengu Bowmanship. She performs 5
Storm the
consecutive
front.
shots with the bow. Now, the damage multipliers for a normal attack are really low, so I don't really recommend
Everybody
doing a
stand down.
physical damage build. For a
strike.
main DPS, I'd much rather go electric with her, but as a support, you're not going to be worried about this. So, as a support, you can leave this at level 1. As a main DPS though, this should be one of your main priorities. Now for elemental skill, Tengu Storm Call, she's going to teleport back rapidly, and with this she'll gain Crow Feather cover for 18 seconds, and when she does a fully charged aim shot, Crow Feather cover will now be consumed, and it will leave a Crow Feather at the target location with an icon that you will see on the screen here. Now Crow Feathers will trigger Tengu Dry Ambush. After a short time, it will deal electro damage, and it grants the active character within the AoE an attack bonus based on Kujosara's base attack. Now if you look here, the damage multiplier isn't high, but you really want that attack bonus ratio with this, and attack bonus duration is 6 seconds, cooldown is 10 seconds for this elemental skill. So this is really good in a sense, but it can be kind of clunky to play with it. Now constellations do make it better because you're going to have to retreat and then aim at the ground, and you're not going to really hit an opponent with it unless the opponent is really close. Then switch to your main DPS to get that attack bonus range. Now for elemental burst, she casts down electro damage on the target, dealing AoE electro damage to it. Now this is going to separate into 4 consecutive shocks going outwards from the center, dealing more AoE electro damage. Now when you do this, the active character within that AoE damage on the target, and attack bonus duration is 6 seconds, cooldown is 10 seconds for this elemental skill. So this is really good in a sense, but it can be kind of clunky to play with it. Now constellations do make it better because you're going to have to retreat and then aim at the ground, and you're not going to really hit an opponent with it unless the opponent is really close. Then switch to your main DPS to get that attack bonus ratio. Now for elemental burst, she casts down electro damage on the target, dealing AoE electro damage to it. Now this is going to separate into 4 consecutive shocks going outwards from the center, dealing more AoE electro damage within the AoE. An attack bonus based on Kujo will trigger Tengu Dry Ambush, and when she does a fully charged, you're not going to be worrying about this. So as a support, you can leave this at level 1. As a main DPS though, this should be one of your main priorities. Now for elemental skill, Tengu Storm Call, she's going to teleport back rapidly, and with this she'll gain Crow Feather cover for 18 seconds, and when she does a fully charged aim shot, Crow Feather cover will now be consumed, and it will leave a Crow Feather at the target location with an icon that you will see on the screen here. Now Crow Feathers will trigger Tengu Dry Ambush. After a short time, it will deal electro damage, and it grants the active character within the AoE an attack bonus based on Kujosara's base attack. Now if you look here, the damage multiplier isn't all that high, but you really want that attack bonus ratio with this, and attack bonus duration is 6 seconds, cooldown is 10 seconds for this elemental skill. So this is really good in a sense, but it can be kind of clunky to play with it. Now constellations do make it better because you're going to have to retreat and then aim at the ground, and you're not going to really hit an opponent with it unless the opponent is really close. Then switch to your main DPS to get that attack bonus ratio. Now for elemental burst, she casts down electro damage on the target, dealing AoE electro damage to it. Now this is going to separate into 4 consecutive shocks going outwards from the center, dealing more AoE electro damage. Now when you do this, the active character within that AoE of the elemental burst will gain the same attack bonus that she gives with her elemental skill, Tengu Storm Call. So this is kind of a better way to get that attack bonus. It's going to have the same effect as if you were going to be using her elemental skill. Now the damage multipliers are really good on this elemental burst. Cooldown is 20 seconds and the energy cost is 80. It is a bit high, so you are going to want to run her with a little bit of energy recharge. Now for her first passive, Immovable Will. While in the Crow Feather cover state provided by Tengu Storm Call, the aim shot charge times are decreased by 60%. This is quality of life passive. It just grants you a charge attack faster, in a sense, to get that attack bonus for your active character quicker before an enemy does attack you and knocks you over. For her other passive, Decorum. When her elemental burst hits an opponent, Kuchosara will restore 1.2 energy to all party members for every 100% energy recharge she has. This effect can be triggered once every 3 seconds. I get it, you want to build her with energy recharge for that attack bonus, so that is cool in a sense if you're running her as a support. Not as much as a main DPS, but all in all, it's not that much, to be honest. It's kind of just an okay passive. When Tengu Jirai grants characters attack bonuses either from her elemental skill or burst, and it hits an opponent, the cooldown of Tengu's Stormcaller, her elemental skill, is decreased by 1 second. This effect can be triggered once every 3 seconds. Now this is good to reduce that cooldown for the elemental skill to be more fluid in your rotation. Her C2, which is the one I highly recommend you get, Dark Wings. Unleashing her elemental skill will leave a weaker Crow Feather at Kujo-Sara's original position that will deal 30% of its original damage. Now this is amazing because now you no longer have to charge attack with her at all. You can use her elemental skill and swap to your active character, your main DPS, your main parry right away to gain that bonus attack. This is such a good constellation. I really wish this was more embedded in her hit rather than in a constellation, but it is what it is. For C4, the number of Tengu Jirai Storm Cluster released by her elemental burst is increased to 6. So now you're going to be able to hit more opponents for up to 6. It's an okay constellation. The biggest constellation that she has is C6. The electro damage of characters who have had their attack increased by Tengu Jirai, as its crit damage also increased by 60%. An amazing buff not only to herself if you're running her as a main DPS, but to your other electro unit. Now for support Kujo-Sara, you are going to want to run her with some ER. So a 2-piece ER, maybe 2-piece 18% attack percentage or electro damage, but you can also run her with a 4-piece Noblesse Oblige then to further buff your main DPS, as it's going to buff the attack of your party after you. Now for main sets, I would run her with energy recharge, electro damage bonus, and crit rate, crit damage. And then for subsets, I would highly recommend CER or even CEM if you choose to do that. Now for a main DPS, however, there's a lot of 2-piece, 2-piece option. 18% attack percentage is good, some EM is good, and electro damage is great as well. You are going to want to run her with a bit of EM since Denjo is the best reaction for electro main DPSs. You are going to be wanting to do that. So in a sense, you can use the 4-piece Wander's Toupee for that charge attack damage bonus and also some EM, or the 4-piece Gilded Dream set to really get more EM into her kit. But as you can see, I will be running her with a 2-piece attack percentage and a 2-piece elemental mastery set, as the subsets really have a lot to do with it to get that really great crit rate, crit damage. There are a lot of units that will buff her EM in this game, so you don't have to worry about that in her initial build. Now for her weapons for a support Kujo-Sara, I highly recommend the Sacrificial Bow. This is really good because it has a high base attack and she gives off the attack bonus based off her base attack just like Bennett. It also has energy recharge, so it's going to allow you to get some more ER, and also the passive is really good because you might be able to do this skill twice. The Fulvinius Warbow is actually a really good bow on her, as it's going to give you a lot of energy recharge and some more energy particles due to its passive. If you did play the Chasm event, the Fading Twilight is actually a really good option for her with the high base attack, energy recharge. Now the only 5-star option for a support Kujo-Sara is going to be the Elegy of the End with a high base attack, a high energy recharge substat, and the passive is going to further buff your team. You cannot go wrong with this weapon. Now for a main DPS Kujo-Sara, there are a lot of options that you can use with her. Now, I really want to talk about the Moon's Moon. It has a high base attack percentage subset, and she needs a lot of energy for her burst, so the passive is going to be quite good on her. Now, the Ibis Piercer is another event weapon that is really good with her. It has a really good base attack percentage subset, and it will increase her elemental mastery with every charge attack that you do with it, max 2 stacks. Now, a craftable option for her is going to be the Prototype Crescent with a really good base attack percentage subset, and a passive that is just amazing for her main DPS kit. Since you are going to be charge attacking with her, you're going to hit opponent's weak spots, gaining that attack percentage increase. Now from the shop, the Black and Warlock is another great option with a crit damage subset this time, and it offers an attack percentage increase due to its passive. Now for 5-star, she has really good options. The Almost Glow is really good with a high base attack percentage subset and increasing that charge attack damage. The 4-star is an okay weapon on her with a crit rate substat, a really good base attack. You are just gonna have to weave in some normal attacks to get the full advantage of her pass. Now one of the best options for her is gonna be the OG Skyward Heart. It is just an amazing weapon on her with that really high base attack, a crit rate sub stat, and also you're gonna get some crit damage from the passive. Now here is my Sara with 2187 attack, 136 elemental mastery, 76 crit rate, 210 crit damage, energy recharge at 116. Now for the party that I'm gonna be using for a main DPS Kujo Sara, Zhongli is gonna be the shielder and he's also gonna shred the resistance of enemies. Nahida is gonna be the Dendro applicator and EM buffer. Kazuha is gonna be the VV shredder. Alright, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the damage showcase.
One with wind and cloud.
This way, Trailer. The Temple of Wisdom.
Solidify!
No turning back! Flash! Quiver!
Gather!
Commit it to memory. Make yourselves at home.
Strike!
I know how to... I know what my plan is now.
Quiver! Strike!
This way, Trailer. The Temple of Wisdom.
Stabilize!
Fallen leaves adorn my...
Storm the front! Strike! Quiver!
Commit it to memory.
Flash!
Solidify!
Share my knowledge.
Clouds high. The birds call.
Glory to the Shogun!
Glory to the Shogun. Meow meow meow.
Add.
Gather!
Wind strider.
This way, Trailer.
Strike! Quiver!
Solidify!
Grow. Make yourselves at home.
6 seconds. Okay, that's enough for Genshin today.
Well, there you have it, a main DPS damage showcase on the Tengu Kujo Sara. Well, I hope you liked the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. It will mean the world to me, and I do stream most nights on Twitch, so follow me on there, and I'll see you on my next video. What is going on, travelers? In today's video,
They actually have Trench Tales, but my PC cannot play it. It's so laggy. So anyway, I have the days off, 28, and wait, was it 22nd and the 1st? Yeah. I think I'm gonna play Airsoft. Line up. Meow, 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 meow. Excuse me.
Let's roll.
Alam ni nanay na ang Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection ay may up to 24-hour cavity protection.
This is the Humsienk shunt-based battery monitor. In the box you got your user manual, shunt. On their website you can buy a 350 amp monitor. They sent me a 500 amp unit,
Meow, meow, meow.
battery side, load side. The monitor,
Meow, meow.
the positive wire, and this 6-meter long shielded wire for the monitor. Some mounting screws.
Have you.
I just fully charged a 100 amp hour lithium ion phosphate battery. Let's connect the monitor and do some tests. The idea is that this thing will monitor power going in and coming from your battery bank. And in order for it to do that correctly, you need to connect it to your negative side of the battery before your loads or charger. All the current coming to and going out of the battery needs to go through this shunt. We'll connect a cable coming from the negative side into the B- battery negative side right here, and a negative wire coming from the shunt to the load. This red positive wire is connected to this B+ side and will be connected to the battery positive. Then all you need to do is to hook your monitor up to the shunt, this cable. Let me do that real quick. So we got it all connected to positive, going to the shunt, your main positive, your loads, negative going through the shunt, your loads, connected to the monitor. We need to set our amp hour rating to calibrate the monitor. Battery is fully charged to 100%. Let's see what happens. Go. Hold the OK button. Swap here. To set your alarms. If you're using lead acid, you set your alarm to about 50%. For a 100 amp hour battery, it would be 50. So I went ahead and set it up. Set it up. Long press the OK button. And I set my capacity to 100 amp hours. Fully charged lithium iron phosphate battery at the resting voltage 13.6.
Activating the bomb.
Depleted, I set it to 12 volts. Turn off the monitor at 11.8.
Cover this area.
And that's about it. And then I put a charge on to have it reach this voltage, and it's set to 100% automatically. You can adjust your brightness, the up or down button, like that. I connected it to a capacity tester to put a load on it to see if it
Get ready to feel the instant jolt of freshness with Colgate Fresh Confidence.
Mga ka-DIY, welcome back to our YouTube channel. So for today,
I already have this. I have 2 of those. Meow. Jump. Yan, I already have 2 of these. unnecessary. Meow meow meow. How are you guys? And what do you want to talk about today? I hope you're all doing well. Meow meow meow. There's a renovation. Shh. There's a renovation, so I'm keeping my voice low. I'm top front. Yo, what up, Dark Flare? What's going on? Frick. Yo, why did you have to rifle with it? What happened? Good job. This one low. Yo, why are you so trigger happy? Damn. It's a glitch in the game. Meow meow meow. Meow meow meow. So I think I'm gonna make spaghetti today. I already put the ground meat out of the fridge. It's alright, and all my coworkers were nice today. They're always nice. I'm the one who has a very negative attitude. Yeah, I got to speak with. It's my first time speaking to two of them. They're really nice. Yeah. I'm really thinking about expanding my solar setup. I've been thinking about it for, I don't know, I guess I'm becoming serious with it. Can you guys hear the banging with the hammer? There's a renovation. It's not really a renovation, it's the ceiling panels being replaced. And they're all nailing them. The wood is pretty hard, so It's very loud. I bet you guys can hear that. Can you hear that? LOL. Meow meow meow. Meow 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 meow. So yes, I'm gonna cook spaghetti and I'm planning to give one of the... I'm planning to share it with the people working. Alright, rest well. Meow 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 meow. Meow meow meow.
Come on, chop chop.
Triangle lang. Sure. I'm looking for used. It's too expensive for used. 270. It sounds too good to be true. 200 watts for a mono. Too good to be true. You can get a cheaper battery and then put a voltage cutoff, guidance already doing. Hope you're doing well.
Decoy's out.
Leave me now. Yeah, I'm doing fine as well. Doing fine. Thanks for asking. Life is good, man. Life is good. It's good, homie. What the frick? I'm actually thinking about making a setup for my parents. But I wanted to have a safety feature because, I don't want them to have to be too bothered by it. Almost plug and play. I really don't need Bluetooth on this. Why do they make Bluetooth? I don't need that. It's just gonna consume the battery power.
Throwing grenade. Throwing fire. Throwing fire. Decoy.
Short. Short.
Deploying flashbang. Counter-terrorist.
They're becoming expensive, huh? They're becoming expensive.
Throwing flashbang.
Not much. Just beef. Ground beef. Maybe some bacon. Beef short plate. I don't know if we still have garlic and onion. I'm gonna check.
Deploying decoy. Bomb has been planted. Incendiary out. Grenade out.
Oh, clear.
I'm defusing the bomb. Bomb has been defused. Counter-terrorists win. All right, all right.
I think we do have bell pepper. I'm not sure.
Move out. Throwing fire. Throwing grenade. Decoys out.
Bomb drop. Good job, guys. Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Nice work, man.
Wow. Oh yeah. I also have elbow macaroni. Damn, so many options. Is it really 1,000? I mean 120. I wonder. Oh no, it's lead acid. I don't like that. Man, I don't need Bluetooth. Why do they put Bluetooth? No need for that. It's so expensive. I can't believe it.
Let's roll.
Man, I'm never gonna get a better deal than the one I got like months ago. Things are so expensive right now. Lol, must be a lead acid battery.
A 出 A 出 A 出，全在 A。
Okay.
Laying down smoke.
Bro. Bro.
Terrorists win.
Zero accuracy for you.
压667不压？
喵。
追你妈！
喵。
Throwing fire. Grenade. Decoys out. Flashbang.
中出！我操，你干嘛呢？
So many dyers on freaking Shopee. So many dyers. One thing I bought early. There's the expensive for freaking 280. You know, maybe they increase the prices. Meow 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 meow.
Are we rushing? What are we doing? Sneaky beaky like.
You know, I can get 4 of these and then 1 BMS. That's a lot of money. Meow meow meow. I'm still top rank. You know, I wonder when it comes to the bear months again, you know, September, October, November, December, if they're gonna drop in prices or not. I'm gonna change my playstyle right now because I've been losing.
We are good to go. Smoke, incendiary.
Man,
Grenade out.
you wasted my molly.
Throwing smoke. Deploying decoy.
兄弟，能听到我说？感觉我麦。
哥们麦怎么有点电音啊？
喵。
A 小 A 小 A 平台 A 平台呢？
Random. Not enough time though.
走吧走吧走吧。
喵喵喵喵喵喵喵喵喵。
阿里巴巴。
啊？
可能要打 B。
啊？
打 B 打 B
去打 B 打 B。
I bet I hit him.
有个电击小子啊！跑了吧？
中人。还有。A 打最后一个。
Long.
跑了。
Wait for him.
可能要去 B， 别明白。有一个人。
Watch short.
还在 A， 还在 A。
北大。
嘿嘿。喵喵。Hello? Meow, 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 meow.
难道是福瑞吗？
一大。 走了。
Let's go.
Mambo, Mambo. Oh, what's your name? Mambo.
Grenade out.
一小残的。
Throwing smoke. Throwing fire. Down smoke. Throwing fire.
中路。中门出了应该。
Decoys out. Bomb has been planted. Throwing a grenade.
Oh, clear. Hindi ako kit.
Terrorists win.
Kapag virus season, agap agad with Macdino.
Hello. Today mag-install tayo ng BMS sa ating DIY na 100 ang power na battery. Madami nagtatanong sa atin kung paano daw ba mag-install ng BMS sa ganito or sa ganyang cells. At hindi ko naman sila kagad nasasagot kasi nga hindi ko naman kayang gawa ng tutorial yung iba't ibang klase ng cells. So, ang goal talaga natin today is ma-explain sa inyo kung paano ba nag-work ang BMS, kung para saan itong mga wires na to, saan kinakabit ang wire na to. Mas madali yung ma-gets kung paano siya i-install sa cells or sa battery natin. So, magiging super basic itong video natin. So, kung alam nyo na yung pinag-uusapan natin, feel free to skip. Pero kung baguhan ka sa pagbuo ng batteries, maganda na panoorin nyo yung video. So, let's start sa cells natin. Ito yung gagamitin natin, 100 amp hour na life P of our cell. Again, ito yung tinatawag nating lithium cells. At pag pinagkabit-kabit mo yung mga cells na to into one big group, yun yung tinatawag natin battery. So basically, ang battery ay isang group ng cells. At ito naman yung ating bus bar. Ito yung ginagamit natin para pagkabitin yung mga cells natin. Usually, isa lang siyang flat na metal gawa sa aluminum or sa copper. Kung minsan, ginagamit din natin mga wires lang talaga. Sa pagkabit ng mga cells para makabuo ng battery, may tinatawag tayo na series connection and parallel connection. Kapag series connection, yun ay pinagdudugtong lang natin yung negative ng isang cell sa positive ng isang cell. Like ito, negative to positive. Negative, positive. Negative to positive. Ganyan ang series connection. Kapag parallel naman, pinagko-connect mo lang yung negative sa negative at positive to positive. Ayan. So, eto, nakaparallel to. Eto, naka-series siya. So, kapag nag-series ka ng cells, nag-a-add yung voltage nila. Ang isang cell, ang voltage niya, 3.2. Kapag naka-series na, naging 6.5. Pero kapag nakaparallel ang cells, same lang ang voltage niya, 3.2 pa rin. Pero yung ang power nila, nag-a-add. Kapag series, yung voltage lang ang nag-a-add, yung ang power niya, same pa rin. ang nominal voltage ng isang live P04 cell ay 3.2 volts. So para makabuo tayo ng 12 volts na battery, kailangan natin mag-series ng 4 na cells. Nag-a-add ang voltage pag nag-series tayo, di ba? So itong 4 na to na naka-series ay isang 100 amp hour na 12.8 volts live P04 battery. Kapag pinarallel lang natin itong 4 na to, magiging 400 amp hour siya, pero 3.2 volts lang. Ang minimum voltage ng live P04 battery ay 2.5 volts at ang maximum voltage niya ay 3.65 volts. So sa 4S battery natin na to, ang minimum voltage niya dapat ay 10 volts at yung maximum voltage ay 14.6 volts. Kaya pag chinek natin yung voltage natin ngayon, 13.17. So within 10 volts at 14.6 volts yung voltage natin, which is tama. At pag napagkabit-kabit na natin yung cells natin, ang next ay yung BMS na or Battery Management System. Based sa name niya, device siya na nagmamanage ng battery natin. So, ano ba talaga ang ginagawa ng BMS? Ang pinaka-importante na ginagawa ng BMS ay pinoprotektahan niya yung cells natin or yung batteries natin para hindi siya ma-overcharge or hindi ma-overdischarge. Yan ang main reason kung bakit tayo gumagamit ng BMS sa mga lithium cells. Kasi, ang lithium cells ay hindi pwedeng na-overcharge or na-overdischarge kasi masisira yung cells nyo. Mag-bloat yan, mababa yung capacity kapag nangyayari yon. So basically, pwede nyong isipin na mayroong master switch dito sa BMS nyo. At kapag na-detect niya na puno na yung battery or low-bat na yung battery, pinapatay niya yung switch para maputol yung connection sa battery. Hindi na siya tuluyang ma-overcharge or hindi na siya tuluyang ma-overdischarge. Yung iba, hindi na naglalagay ng BMS kasi daw, meron naman na daw overcharge protection yung solar charge controller nila, while yung inverter naman nila ay meron din daw over discharge protection. So, which is tama naman, pero ang nakikita lang kasi ng solar charge controller nyo at ng inverter ay yung total voltage ng battery. At isa sa feature ng BMS ay kaya nito i-detect yung individual voltages ng mga cells nyo. Kasi pwedeng 14.6 volts yung total voltage ng battery nyo at yung solar charge controller nyo ay pinuputol niya naman yung pag-charge at 14.6 volts. Pero pag tinignan mo yung voltages ng mga cells mo, possible na 3.4 volts pa lang yung tatlo, pero yung pang-apat na cell pala ay umabot na sa 4.4 volts, which is sobra na sa 3.65 volts na maximum voltage ng cell natin. So kahit nakikita ng solar charge controller natin na 14.6 volts na yung total voltage ng battery natin, hindi niya alam na yung isang cell natin ay overcharged na pala. So yun yung tinatawag natin na unbalanced na cells ng battery, wherein puno na yung isa while yung iba hindi pa puno. Ganun din sa pag-discharge, pwedeng over-discharge na yung isa while yung iba hindi pa fully discharged. So naaapektuhan na yung battery niyan kapag nangyayari na over-discharge at na-overcharge. Pero kung gumagamit ka ng BMS, kaya niyang i-detect yan kung yung isang cell ba ay puno na or yung isang cell ay low-bat na. So puputulin niya na yung connection ng load or ng solar charge controller kapag na-detect niya yun na over-discharge or overcharge na yung individual cell. Sa mga ayaw talaga gumamit ng BMS, ang ginagawa nila, nag-i-install ng active balancer para sure na balance pa rin yung cells nila. At kapag 14.6 volts yung voltage na nadi-detect ng solar charge controller, basta balance yung cell, okay lang siya. Nag-work naman talaga yun kahit walang BMS. Pero may risk pa rin kasi kapag ganun. Kasi yung active balancer, hindi niya naman dinidetect kung over-discharge na or overcharge yung cell. Ang ginagawa niya lang, binabalance niya lang talaga yung mga cells natin. Gagawan din natin ng video yan tungkol sa active balancer, pero ngayon focus muna tayo sa BMS. Pero alam nyo ba na halos lahat ng BMS na gamit natin ngayon ay may balancer din. Yun yung tinatawag nating passive balancer. Hindi siya singbilis ng mga active balancer, pero kung ang cells mo naman ay properly match, magkakapareho yung internal resistance, yung passive balancer ng BMS natin ay kayang-kaya niya dapat yan i-balance kung nawawala sa balance yung cell. Again, focus lang muna tayo sa BMS installation natin at pag-uusapan natin yung mga balancing na yan sa separate video. So, mag-subscribe lang kayo para ma-notify kayo kapag may upload. So, yun nga, yung BMS natin ay kaya niyang i-check yung individual voltages ng mga cells natin. At yun ay possible dahil dito sa sense leads or sense wires. At kung minsan tinatawag din nating balance leads kasi nga yun, pwede nga mag-balance yung BMS natin. So ito yun, yung maraming wires na nakakonect sa BMS natin. Yung bilang ng wires na to ay nakadepende kung ilang cells ang meron sa battery mo. Kung 4S yung battery mo, ang makikita mong wire dyan, gaya nito, ay 5 lang. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kung 8S, 9 na wires. Kung 16S naman, 17 wires naman yan. So, ang mga wires na po, gamit ang BMS para ma-sense niya yung voltages ng individual cells natin. So, connected to sa every terminal ng cells ng battery natin. Para ma-visualize nyo kung paano kinoconnect to, yun to gawin natin. Let's say, ito yung BMS natin. Ito yung balance leads niya or yung sense leads. Masyadong maliit yung wire. So, set aside muna natin para mas maging simple. Gamitin natin yung 32650s natin. So again, isi-series lang natin siya habang kinoconnect natin, kabit na rin natin yung mga wires. So eto mga to ay mga voltmeter lang yan.
Nagre-recon ako para alalayan ng katawan ko para sa trabaho, para hindi ako agad papagod.
Layaan mo. Okay.
Habang kinakabit natin, makikita nyo yung voltages ng mga cells. Ayan, so 4S battery at yung every voltmeter natin nakakabit sa individual na cells. At ayun, nakikita niya nga yung individual volt. Let's say, makita nyo mali kasi yung black, which is supposedly negative, nakatapat siya sa B positive. So na-encounter natin to nung gumagawa tayo ng 4S na battery para sa ating NSS dito sa video na to. So kailangan yung i-check yung manual ng BMS at markings sa BMS bago kayo magkabit ng wire, kasi kung minsan, lalo kung yung mga chip na BMS, kung minsan mali yung kulay ng wires sa BMS nila. So try natin ikabit tong BMS na to. May black dito, so alam natin ito yung main negative. Sa kabilang side, ito yung main positive. Hindi importante kung saan ka mag-start, kung sa main positive o sa main negative. Basta ang importante, once nag-start ka sa main positive, sunod-sunod lang dapat siya. So umpisa natin dito. Mag-start ako sa main positive. Tapos yung susunod na wire, yung susunod to, kakabit ko lang sa next na terminal. Susunod na wire, at yung susunod na wire, at yung pinakalas na wire natin sa main na negative yan. So etong mga wires ko, parang ito yung katumbas ng ginawa natin kanina. Main positive, main negative, tapos sunod-sunod lang yung pagkabit nito sa every terminal, yun, para ma-detect niya yung individual voltages ng cells natin. So ganun lang siya kasimple. Kailangan sunod-sunod lang yung pagkabit nyo para ma-detect niya na tama yung voltages ng mga cells natin. Maganda kung habang kinakabit nyo hindi nakakabit pa to, para lang pwede nyo pang i-double check kung tama ba yung pagkakakabit nyo. Pwede nyo kasing tignan yung voltages ng every cell dito para ma-verify nyo kung tama yung pagkakakabit. Like yan, nakikita nyo 3.27, tapos move kayo ng isa 3.27. So iisa-isahin nyo lang at dapat makita nyo yung voltages ng every cell. After natin makabit yung sense leads, meron pa tayong dalawang wire na dapat ikabit. Ito yung B negative at yung P negative. Ayan, B negative, P negative, B at P. Ito ay para sa mga common port na BMS. Meron yung separate port na BMS, meron pa siyang C negative. Sa ngayon, ito lang muna pag-uusapan natin. Pero kung gusto nyo ng konting explanation sa C negative, pwede nyo panoorin tong video na to. Explanation kung paano nag-work ang BMS. Panoorin nyo rin po, maganda rin po, dagdag kaalaman sa inyo. So yung B negative at P negative muna, ikakabit natin. Yung B negative natin, kinakabit yan sa main negative ng battery. So, nangyari ganyan, B negative, ikakabit yan sa main negative dito. Tapos yung P negative, papunta na yan sa negative wire ng load or inverter or sa solar charge controller nyo. Tapos para makumpleto yung circuit, yung positive wire ng inverter or ng solar charge controller, diretso na dito sa main na positive ng battery natin. So ganun lang po mag-install ng BMS. Sense leads, tapos B negative, Tapos yung P-negative, papunta na yun sa load. Positive ng battery, papunta na rin sa load or sa solar charge controller. Hanggang kailangan mo lang malaman kung paano yung pagkakabuo ng battery mo. Etong dinemo natin ay naka-series ng straight yung cells. Pinili ko rin to para mas madali nyong ma-visualize kasi sunod-sunod lang siya. Kasi nga, yung wire natin kailangan sunod-sunod lang din. Pero kapag gagawa tayo ng battery, usually, ganito ang makikita nyo. Kailangan mo lang sundan yung bus bars. Dito, ito yung main negative natin. Ito yung main negative. Main positive. Ito yung main positive. Dito dapat nakalagay yung bus bars. Ito yung mga bus bars natin. So, susundan nyo lang yan. Main negative. First na bus bar.
Meow meow.
Second, third na bus bar. Main positive. So, imbes na straight siya, lumiko-luko lang para lang mas compact. If ganito naman yung battery nyo, halos ganun din. Tingnan nyo. Ito yung main na negative. Bus bar. Bus bar. Bus bar. Main positive. So, kailangan nyo lang sundan yung flow kung paano nakakabit yung batteries nyo. Kapag may mga nakaparallel ka ng cells, like gusto mo 12 volts tapos 200 amp hour, so kung paparallel ka ng dalawa, ang mangyayari parang nakakonect dapat ng ito, nakaparallel. Ititreat mo lang yung nakaparallel na cells as a single cell. Ganun kasi ang mangyayari.
I apologize. The video I'm watching is in Filipino.
Kapag nakaparallel na, parang isang malaking sela lang siya. Nung ginagawa natin yung battery na replacement para dun sa NSS na power station natin, may nagtanong sa akin kung bakit hindi daw dumaan yung main positive ng battery natin papunta sa BMS. Kasi may diagram tong BMS na to, kinonect nila yung main positive ng battery papunta dito sa BMS. Pero ang ginawa ko, kumonect na ako direkta sa battery, papunta na siya diretso sa power station. So bakit hindi ko sinunod yung diagram nun? Kasi kung titignan nyo dito dapat nakakonect yung inverter or load natin sa P positive ng BMS. Ayan. Tapos yung main positive ng battery natin, dapat dito nakakonect sa B positive. Pero pag i-check nyo yan, magka-connect lang yung P positive tsaka B positive. So para sa akin, wala nang point na padaan siya dito. Kasi ang kailangan lang naman talaga ng BMS para maputol niya yung connection ng solar charge controller or ng load natin ay isang wire lang talaga. At yung wire na yun ay yun yung negative wire natin. Kasi hindi tingnan nyo yung diagram, B negative, papunta siya sa negative ng battery.
So if you cut this one off,
tapos yung P negative, papunta siya sa load natin. Again, para sa mas technical na explanation, panoorin nyo yung video na to, mas maiintindihan nyo. Pero basically, sa loob ng BMS natin may MOSFET, eto. At once na na-detect ng BMS na puno na yung battery or isa sa cells puno na or nalolobat na or over discharge na, ito-turn off niya tong MOSFET na to at mapuputol na yung flow ng kuryente. Kasi yung flow ng kuryente mula sa B negative dadaan sa MOSFET papunta dito sa P negative. So once na tinurn off na itong MOSFET na to, wala nang connection yung B negative natin at P negative natin. Wala nang magpo-flow na kuryente. So again, mas detailed na info, panoorin nyo yung video. Now gawin na natin talaga yung 100 amp hour na battery natin. Ang gagamitin nating BMS ay itong 100 balance BMS. Ito ay gawa rin ng Dali at ito ay 4S to 8S na BMS. So pwede siyang 4S at up to 8S na battery. Most of the time yung mga BMS natin like ito 8S din siya, pero sa 8S mo lang siya magagamit. Ito pwede siya sa 4 up to 8S. So pag ganito na BMS ang gagamitin mo, yung set feeds niya ay 9 na wires din. Pero ang kailangan lang talaga natin dito ay yung 5. At walang pula, pero merong black dito. So alam natin, ito yung main na negative natin. So kakabitan ko.
I'm pretending to be an expert. Just kidding.
Ito ng mga terminal lugs para madali siyang ikabit. Ayan. Sa BMS na to, mas maganda mag-start sa main negative kasi yung extra na wire sa dulo, hindi natin gagamitin yun. Ito lang, mag-start tayo sa main negative. Main negative na wire, pupunta sa main negative ng battery. Tapos sunod-sunod na lang. Yung susunod na wire, ayan, sundan nyo yung mula sa main negative, pupunta dito. Ito yung unang bus bar. Kahit saan mo ikabit dito kasi pare magka-connect lang naman yan. Ito ko siya ikakabit. Then next na wire. So from here, saan yung susunod? Ito. Next ulit.
This one
From
short.
here. Ayun. And then yung pinakahuli. Ito. Since sa BMS na to ay 4 to 8 siya, meron siya extra wire dito. Ito, B positive. Natin yung connector niyan. Ito, B positive. At yung wire na yan, ikakabit yan dito sa main positive ng battery natin. So sa ibang BMS, katulad nito, wala siyang B positive na wire. Para dito lang yun. At saan kaya natin ito ikakabit? Kabit ko lang yung mga tornilyo niya. Ito siya i-take dito. Hindi ito permanent. Pagkagawa ko ng battery, lalagyan ko talaga ito ng case. For demo purposes lang to. Yung B negative natin, kabit natin sa main negative. At once connected na yan, pwede na natin ikabit itong mga to. Kakabit lang natin yung sense leads natin dito. Tapos yung B positive natin dito. Umilaw na, kulay green. At yung extra wire, pwede nyo i-cut or itago nyo na lang. I-roll na lang siguro natin. Kasi hindi na natin ito gagamitin. Mas maganda i-retain nyo na lang at huwag nyo putulin kasi pwede nyo siyang gamitin nga sa 8S if mag-upgrade kayo ng battery. Nag-red siya. Most likely kapag dali ang BMS nyo tapos hindi siya biglang nag-work, ay kailangan nyo kasi ikabit yung temperature sensor. NTCA or NTCB. Isa lang yung kasama niya. So most likely sa NTCA natin kakabit. Ayun. At nung kinabit natin, bigla na siya nag-red. Sa mga smart BMS kasi, kailangan nakakabit to. Kasi ang Life PO4 ay hindi siya dapat ginagamit kapag freezing yung temperature. At kapag hindi nakakabit tong temperature sensor niya, ang nadi-detect niya ay negative. So, ang isipin niya ay nag-freeze na yung temperature ng battery. Kaya magre-red to, ma-disable yung BMS. So, kapag buo na siya, dapat ang pagkakabitan nyo na kung meron kayong terminal block or terminal post para sa battery, ikakabit nyo yun dito sa main positive at yung negative palabas ng battery ay dito sa P negative. Kung iti-test natin, dapat meron na tayo nakikita ang voltage sa main positive, main negative. 13.17 volts. Check natin kung yung by voltage ng battery natin. 13.17. So okay. So ayan po, pwede na gamitin itong battery na to. Tapos, eto pala, yung BMS na ginamit natin dito, ay gagawa natin ng separate na video to kasi ito yung 100 balance BMS ng Dali. Ang sabi nila, meron na tong active balancer na 1 amp. So, iti-test din natin yan kung maganda ba siyang replacement sa ibang BMS natin if gusto natin na may active balancer na. So, ayun po. Hopefully, alam niyo na kung paano gumawa ng sarili nyong battery, kung paano mag-install ng BMS sa kahit anong pang cells na gagamitin nyo. Kung may katanungan pa po kayo, leave lang po ng comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you again next time. Bye!
Dust and overpass. Okay, play Mirage. Hold on, let me check the ground meat. It's been thawing. Wow, I'm back. The ground meat is good. So, my macaroni isn't really elbow macaroni. Most of it is like straight. Yeah. You know, if I really wanted to make a new setup, I'd freaking buy the components. But I've not been buying anything at all. Really funny. mean, frick. I'm gonna be throwing all of my little savings into that one. It's only frick. Okay, right now I'm gonna make coffee and then I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna take vitamin C. You know, I think my mom would be scared if I made another if I made another solar setup. Like, she's gonna be thinking I'm not really competent to make one. But I haven't taken vitamin C in a long time because I feel like I don't need it. Right now I'm wondering where I put my small voltmeter. Freaking hell. I can be irresponsible.
Terrorists win. I'm planted.
Right, I found it. Meow meow meow. Good job. Sorry. What the freak? Meow 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 meow. Meow. Hey bro. Wow.
Throw the decoy.
Plant for long so I can snipe them. For long, bro, for long. Got there for long. That's not for long, bro. You know, a lot of players don't know how to plant for long.
Terrorists win. I fear no man.
Meow meow meow.
Let's go, my bro.
I know.
What the fuck?
Meow meow meow.
You're a fucking cat.
I'm cat. Meow meow meow. Oh, I got one. Nubi. Man, that's almost all of my life savings. $19 times, yeah. But you know, my parents gave me everything really, so why wouldn't I do the same? Although, you know, here we are, it's not what they're not really asking for it. And like I said, you know, they might be afraid that I might mess things up. You know, I'm not very competent. I'm gonna think it's a fire hazard. Anyway.
Ganado sa iyaw sarap, chicken inasal. Napapasarap, pagkain mang inasal.
Hey, so I thought people might be interested in a video comparing Eve and Li Shen cells. Just the physical differences. So in this video, I've got an Eve cell right here, and over here I've got a Li Shen cell. So as you can see, the cells are really, really similar. It's hard to distinguish between the two. I got them both from Shenzhen Basin. They're both 280 amp hour lithium iron phosphate cells. And you can see the only real difference is the terminals. This is the negative and this is the positive. This is the negative and this is the positive. They both have this sort of leak little hole here in case things expand and leak on us. But otherwise, you have a really hard time telling the difference between the two cells. They both came in at exactly the same voltages. Everything was from between 3.29 to 3.3. All the cells are balanced, and there's a slight difference in the shading of blue, but I don't even know if it can be picked up very well on the camera. But besides that slight difference in shading and the difference in terminals, I really can't see any differences. I mean, we're talking almost nothing. Like they're the same width, they're the same length, same height. I mean, if you couldn't see the terminals, you would never know. I don't imagine they would all function the same. Obviously, different batches have different internal resistances too, so I wouldn't mix and match these by any means. These have an IR of 1.12, this are labeled 0.17. But honestly, I personally can't really tell the difference between the two. Whatever you build for one is definitely going to work for the other. They are really that similar in size. Yeah, so I hope this was helpful just for people who are wondering if there is much of a physical difference between the two. There absolutely isn't. They're nearly identical. And if you told me they were made at the same factory, with, you know, just slightly different terminals, I totally believe you. So I hope this helps. Obviously, I'm not going to do all the testing and things like that or anything like that in this video, but I want people to get a chance to see if you put the two side by side, can you tell the difference? And I would basically say, hey, so this is a video where I'm going to talk about the technical specifications of Lishen and EVE 280 amp lithium iron phosphate battery cells. Okay, so let's talk about the beginning. What's very similar between these two cells. So the range in terms of charging from both these cells is the same. You're going to want to charge from absolute lowest of 2.5 volts up to 3.65 volts. That's the absolute bottom to the absolute top of the voltage range for both of these cells. Okay. Otherwise, you should never ever charge them below freezing, so 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't want to ever charge them. You can discharge them up to negative 20 degrees Celsius, but the Lishen, at least, they said they said you shouldn't be discharging it very much below that. So you don't really want to discharge it below freezing too much either. Otherwise, they said their lifespans are very similar. So about 1,000 cycles, so discharging and then recharging 1,000 times, you'd still expect to have 90% capacity with both of them, and around 80% capacity after 3,500 cycles. So if you cycle these 3,500 times, which is about 10 years if you cycle them once a day, you'd still expect to be 80% capacity. Both of them also expect them to be under pressure. That means tied down or weighed or somehow pressurized, putting pressure on the sides of this. There's all sorts of stuff online about how you can pressurize these, but it does remain a challenge because they're pretty big, and you don't want to do anything that's going to scratch off this blue wrapping or anything like that. But they do expect you to have them pressurized or wrapped or somehow stop them from expanding. But the Lishen at least the EVE at least mentions that if you don't pressurize them, you can expect around 2,500 cycles rather than 3,500 cycles. That's the minimum. So they think pressurizing can increase their lifespan by about a third. But again, their lifespan's already so long, it's not clear that are you really going to be using this in 7 or 8 years when they're saying the lifestyle might be worse? I don't know. So anyway, those are the exact similarities. Fundamentally, they're really, really similar cells, but let's talk about some of the differences that I found on the data sheets, okay? So let's first talk about the EVE cell. So this is the EVE cell. EVE, their standard charge and discharge was half C. So this is a 280 amp hour cell, so you'd expect the charge and discharge at around 140 amps, okay? And that they said the max charge and discharge was 1C, so 280 amps, which is a ton of current. So I don't anticipate anyone having that problem where they're just charging or charging with too much. But yeah, max is 1C. The weight is 5,220 grams, give or take 20 grams. EVE also recommends that you keep these charged between 10 and 90%. I think that's really good advice and will also apply to the Lishen. But EVE explicitly says that. Try to keep them between a state of charge that's 10% to 90%. Otherwise, there's not that much else, and these are M6 cells, and the depth is only about 6 millimeters as well, according to the EVE data sheet. So let's talk about what the Lishen says about theirs. So Lishen was a little bit different. Lishen actually lists these cells as 272 amp hours. Now, everything I've been reading on the internet, and people have tested these, I haven't tested this particular cell yet, but everyone's been saying they tend to get 280 plus when the cells are brand new. So you can probably expect very similar capacities, but technically this is around 3% more capacity, but I think they're probably about the same. What else? So they actually list 2C, so 280 times 2, so 560 amps for the max charge and discharge, but only for up to 60 seconds. So Lishen's explicitly listing this as a possible 2C charge and discharge. I wouldn't want to do that at all, and definitely not more for 60 seconds, but Lishen's saying it's okay to take up the 2C out of this, which is a crazy amount of amperage. But again, only for 60 seconds. Otherwise, they expect you 1C as the standard max, okay, for charge and discharge. Okay, as I said, the cycles are exactly the same for these two. This is a slightly higher weight. It's 5,302 versus 5,220, but this is give or take 100 grams. This is give or take 200 grams. Yeah, and who cares? Not a big deal. Another interesting thing that I saw about the Lishen was they said not to leave it on its side. They want you to leave it upright when you're charging or discharging or using it. This is somewhat surprising. I've seen a lot of people use Lishan and Eve cells on their side like this when they're using them. I've never seen, and nor would I recommend anyone doing something like this, but certainly something like this is very common to stack them, for example, on your wall. But that's not what Lishan is recommending you're doing. They're saying to keep them upright. Otherwise, to be honest, these cells are really similar if you're going to be using them for like a solar installation. If you're going to keep them between 10 and 90, or better yet, 20 and 80, you're going to want to keep them above freezing. You're going to want to keep them below 35 degrees Fahrenheit, definitely probably below 45 degrees Fahrenheit. If you can, you want to put them under pressure, although I don't think that's absolutely critical, particularly if you're using solar and you're not going to hit those tops or bottoms. You're much less likely to have expansion. It's much less likely to wear out. So if you're going to use these cells between the 20 and 80%, which is what I'd recommend, you're going to get a lot of life out of them no matter what, and they're going to behave really similarly, especially if you're using them for solar in your house. You're really unlikely, if you have a decent system, to pull more than 1C out of this. For example, if I have these in 48 volts, 1C is about, if I have a 48 volt battery, so 16 of these lined up, if I'm running this through, an inverter that's taking them to 120 volts, I'm using 2.5 amps to get 1 amp of 120 volts, right? Because I have to take 48 and I have to multiply it by almost 2.5 to get to 120. So, but even then, 2.5 out of 100, out of 280 amps, I can still pull almost 100 amps from this. So if I had a 48 volt battery and you hooked it, you could almost pull 100 amps out of it in terms of getting it to alternating current at 120 degrees, 120 volt AC power. So basically, long story short is, unless you're going to use more than 100 amps from a 48 volt battery, or I guess 50 amps from a 24 volt battery, you're not in any danger of exceeding the maximum charge and discharge limits on these batteries. So you're going to be using them at healthy charge and discharge rates, and if you're not charging them all the way up or discharging them all the way down, you're not going to be beating up the battery anyway. So basically, keep the batteries in good temperature, don't overcharge them, don't over discharge them, and don't pull out or put current in at too high a rate, and they're probably going to behave almost identically. So yeah, basically the data sheet's saying these guys have slightly different recommendations, but they're pretty much identical. Eve is, I think, slightly more conservative in what they're saying. They're saying only charge at half C, or discharge at half C. They're saying 1 is fine, up to 2 for 60 seconds is fine. Otherwise, the temperature guidance is totally identical. So it's really hard to find noticeable differences between these two. Just like the fact that the terminals are the only thing that separate them. This is Lishan, this is Eve. Same thing with the data sheets. You basically can't separate them, and the things that do separate them are mostly on the surface level. Fundamentally, they're behaving really similarly. Yeah, so I hope this helped people. Again, I have another video where I compare the physical aspects of them, but as you can see here, they're pretty much identical. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Please like or subscribe. It makes a huge difference to me, and thank you very much for watching.
Hey guys, so I want to do a video on lithium iron phosphate basics, right? More and more people are watching the channel, which is absolutely fantastic. But I want to make sure that when I'm talking about these cells, whether it's the Lishan or the Eve cells, or any of the lithium iron phosphate cells, that I've covered the sort of absolute basics, things that you definitely need to know before you start working with these cells. So given that people are actually watching this channel a little bit, I think I should cover these really important things. Okay, so let's talk about lithium iron phosphate cells. In particular, let's talk about the things you absolutely have to know, and then I'll talk a little bit about my personal experiences with these rules, okay? But everything I'm about to go over, I think, is really, really important. First thing is, absolutely 3.5 volts per cell or above 3.65 volts per cell. Don't go above that, don't go below that. You just want to stay in that 2.5 to 3.65 range. Do not go above or below those, okay? Those are really the absolute ranges, so you want to make sure you're going to have a BMS that's going to protect your cells from going above or below that. You also want to make sure you set your solar charge controller to never charge above that, and if you can, try to set your inverter to never go below a certain whatever value that is. So if you have 4 cells, for example, you want to make sure your inverter never goes below 10 volts, for example. That's usually not an issue, but if you can set it, do it. So if you set your inverter to never draw too low, your solar charge controller never charge too high, and you've got a BMS ensuring that both of those things, you've got redundancy on both ends, and you're really unlikely to go outside that range. One thing I do want to mention though is I've read and have some personal experience with that these cells, if they're taken down as low as 2 or taken as high as 4, it can still be saved. So I, for example, have taken a cell up to 3.8 by accident, slightly discharged it, got it back in the range, then I did a capacity test, and it was still okay. So if you have a cell that's maybe 3.8 volts, or you have a cell that's maybe 3.8 volts, which is outside the range they should be in, they can still potentially be saved. I would apply a light current, something like 0.2C or less. I would either use 0.2C up in the range, or if they're above the range, draw it and bring it back into the range, and then okay. So if you actually slightly over discharge them, they might be savable. But that said, be very, very careful. And if you take them above 4 volts or below 2 volts, I would probably just try to recycle them or get rid of them in a safe manner, because they really don't want to be outside that range. But again, never get outside of 3.65 volts. 2.5 to 3.65 volts if you don't have it. There's no reason. Use a BMS. Be very careful. Use your chargers appropriately. But just really, that's the easiest way to mess up yourself. The other thing is temperature. Lithium phosphate is better than almost any chemistry in a lot of ways. It's safer. They last for a little more cycles. But they are a little bit more sensitive to temperature, and that's something you need to be aware of. So for charging, these have to be above the charge. So above 0 degrees Celsius or above 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Absolutely, okay? And if you charge them below that, so a charge controller or whatever, try to charge them after below freezing. If they're frozen, you will permanently damage the cells, and they will not be recoverable, okay? The maximum temperature, at least for some cells, is around, I see 65 degrees Celsius or 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Those are the maximum temperatures, but you really don't want to be even near that. Even above 110 degrees or something like that, you're really starting to be in the danger zone, okay? So don't charge these if they're 120 degrees. And if you're building a case, or let's say you're putting an RV or a setting where they could get really hot, be aware of that. Make sure that they have good airflow, maybe have a fan in there, whatever you need to do, but don't let these get too hot. Above 150C is absolutely going to damage them. But even above 120, 100, even 100 degrees Fahrenheit, if you're consistently charging and discharging them at these higher temperatures, you're going to wear out your cells faster, okay? Discharging is a little different. You can discharge below freezing. You can discharge as low as negative 31 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 35 degrees Celsius. And it depends on the manufacturer. They might give you slightly different ranges for that. I've seen different data sheets. So always check the data sheets for your batteries. That's a good point in general. They might have different temperature settings that they can handle, but for lithium iron phosphate, never charge below freezing. And discharge, you can discharge below freezing, but again, it's not great for your cells. They're not going to love you for discharging them below freezing. So keep your cells above freezing to keep them in a good place, and definitely don't discharge them or charge them above 150 degrees Fahrenheit. But generally speaking, please try to keep them below 100 degrees because they just don't like to be that hot. It's going to affect their life cycle.
Freaking 20.
When you're talking about voltages, right? The voltages on your batteries and on your cells are always going to dip when they're under load. They're going to dip more when they're at the high end of the curve or the low end of the curve under load. But you don't want to ever just test the voltages of your batteries under load and take that as gospel. You want to make sure that you remove the load, whether you're charging or discharging them, whatever's on them, and test them without a load or charge on them to get the actual voltage. Okay? Also, I cover this in another video, but you definitely want to balance your cells, right? When you get your cells in the mail and you're going to construct a battery, you need to balance them. Now, there's top balancing, where you make sure they're all the same voltages when you're at the high end of the voltage curve, around, let's say, 3.65 at the very top, but even as low as something like 3.4. Or you can do bottom balancing, where most batteries go really low balance, and that's low balance, right? There's a lot of debate on top and bottom balancing, and I'm not going to go over top versus bottom balancing here. Suffice to say, they're both fine. Do your research. In your solar setting, it seems like most people nowadays are happy with top balancing. If you really need to get all the juice out of your battery, if you're going to go from 100% to 0 all the time, you might want to go with bottom balancing. But generally speaking, they're both going to be fine. Just make sure you do it right. I have a video on top balancing, and if you want to see how I do it with these cells as cheaply as possible, please take a look. But be aware there are other faster ways to do it. I know that most people probably are going to use them for solar, so they're only going to charge and top balance them once, and they want to probably do that as cheaply as possible. So I think those are the things you absolutely need to know about batteries. Always top balance. The other thing is you absolutely want to use a BMS. Do not construct a battery without a BMS unless you really know what you're doing and really have good reason. And I find it very hard to think that there's a good reason, because it really won't affect the performance of your battery, and it's really a great backstop to make sure that...
Yeah, you have a good night as well. Thank you for dropping by.
So one of the most important things that I can say in terms of if you really want to pump your cells for as long as possible, if you want to get those 3,000 cycles out of them or even more, you need to know that they are going to degrade over time. Almost immediately, they're going to go from having 100% capacity to 99 to 98. There's a pretty good curve on a lot of these that, after maybe 3,000 cycles, they might only be pulling 80% and 90%. It just depends on the cell and kind of your luck, but also importantly, how you treat them, right? So there are a bunch of things you can do to make sure they last longer and you don't have to buy new cells sooner rather than later. First thing is the 90-10 rule. Basically, use the middle 90% of your capacity. Don't use the full 100%. Don't charge things up to 100%. Set your solar charge controller, your inverter, and your BMS to try to keep your cells in that middle 80% of your capacity. That means charge them up, for example, to 3.35, right? That's only 90% of capacity, and discharge them only down to 3 volts. So stay between 3.35 and 3. You're going to get that middle 90%. That's going to extend the life of your batteries probably noticeably. They really don't like to be fully charged and fully discharged. It's just not what the cells are good at. That's when you might get, when you fully charge and discharge, that's when you might get more expansion of the cells and some bulging is what people are talking about. And it generally just wears on them a lot more. So if you stay in that middle 90%, the cells are going to be really happy and they're going to be much less likely to degrade. They're going to degrade a lot slower. So I would say the 90-10 rule, if you can do it, is absolutely something you can do. It sucks to lose 20% of the capacity of your battery, sure, but if you can live without it, I'd say go for it. It might even be worth it if you're looking at, for example, like 200 amp hour cells to upgrade to 280 amp hours so that, you can use only that middle 80%. Because, maybe they'll cost more to buy the cells up front, but if they last that much longer, that because you can extend the life by using only that middle middle 80%, then it might be worth it. The other thing is temperature, right? As I said before, don't charge below freezing, and you have to discharge in this range. Now, granted, it's a pretty big range, right? If you can discharge between negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit and 150 degrees Fahrenheit, that's almost a 200-degree range, right? Like, that's amazing. But to be honest, these cells do not like to be there, right? These cells absolutely want to be between 15 degrees and 35 degrees Fahrenheit, right? So we're talking something like 50 degrees and like 100 degrees, 15 and 35 degrees Celsius. So we're talking like, 50 degrees Fahrenheit to around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, right? And really they want to be around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's optimal for them, right? So keep them at like room temperature. They're very happy at room temperature, and they're particularly unhappy when they're warmer. So when you're warming these cells up, let's say they're sitting in like a really hot shed, or they're sitting and getting direct sunlight for some example. I can't imagine why, but maybe. If they're really heating up, you're gonna hurt your cells in terms of their life cycle. So try to keep the cells at a stable temperature. I'm using my cells in an off-grid setting, and it's an uninsulated shed. So yeah, they're gonna get challenged by the temperature. It might go down to 40 and it might go up to 90. And I can live with that. I'm gonna try to insulate them, but I can live with that. But just know that the better you can do in temperature, the better the cells are gonna do for you long term. The other thing is compression. So there's a lot of debate about compression. I've seen a lot of forums where people are discussing it. I know that the new EVE data sheets strongly suggest that you should compress things. So compression is when you're putting pressure on the cells, maybe with some plates or something like that, to keep them basically from bulging, right? And there's a lot of debate and discussion about how much pressure to use and how to basically build contraptions, because that will compress them. Because when like EVE or Lishan or whoever is doing tests on their cells, they're putting them under very precise, machine adjusted compression. Can you do that at home? Well, probably not. You can't do it there. Right? You don't have like a machine that's going to measure exactly how much compression and where. But you can do sort of rudimentary compression at home. Maybe you could use some tape, or maybe you could use some plywood and put them together with screws. I'll probably do a video on how I do that myself. But just know that compression can probably help your cells, but I wouldn't think it's the most important. It's much more important, I'd say, to stay in that middle 80%. You're much more likely to damage your cells when you're charging at the top or fully discharging, because that is when the lithium cells in here are switching from one side of the battery to the other. That I think is much more likely for you to get bulging than, that's much more likely to prevent bulging than it is if you put them under compression and do the full 0 to 100% capacity. So long story short, I would say try to do compression if you can. I wouldn't extremely stress about it, especially if you can stay in that middle 80% and keep the temperature. I don't think you're likely to have huge bulging issues, but compression can help. If you're going to store these for a long time, these genuinely want to be stored. So let's say you can't use them for a while. They want to be stored between 3.275 volts and 3.3 volts. 3.3 volts, right? And basically, they want to be stored.
Yo, what the frick? This is loud. That's freaking loud.
At the lower end, typically between 20 and 40%, right? You don't want to store these at really high voltages. You don't want to store them at 2.5 volts, really low, but you also don't really want to store them at really high. So I think around 3.29 or something like that, or 3.28, that would be my ideal. But if you're not going to use them for a long time, store them at around less than half of their full capacity, around 40%. Obviously, if you're using them for standby batteries, let's say, you're just charging them up, you're not using solar, you're just going to leave them fully charged, that when you have a power outage or you need them for some emergency setting, then you're going to use them. That's fine. Obviously, they're not going to last forever, and you have to use you have to damage the cells a little bit or kind of leave them in a suboptimal state at around 100%. But even then, you could probably just go from 100 to 90%. You'll lose that 10% of capacity, but your cells might last a lot longer for you if you do that too. So try to store them lower if you can. I understand that some people have settings when they want to keep them at 100% and they have to stand by at 100%. That's fine. Just know that it will affect the life cycle of the cells. The other thing is really high charge and discharge rates are also not going to be great for your cell's life cycle, right? If you can, something like 0.5C or even 0.2C, that's going to be most gentle on your cells, right? If you're using these really big cells, like 280 amp hour cells, I can't see a world where you're going to consistently pull, 280 amps out of each cell, or you're going to charge, for example, at 280 amps per cell. That's amazing if you can do it, but I don't see that's actually going to be a problem. If you have those kind of power supply or demand needs, obviously you're going to wear your cells out faster. But generally speaking, if you're using big cells, you're probably at a very safe charge and discharge rate, right? You're probably going to be using 0.2 or 0.5C. But my point is, if you can use a lower charge and discharge rate, go for it. But if the more you stress your cells, the more you pull them at 1C or close to 1C, or even if you charge them at really high rates, you are more likely to sort of shorten their life cycle. So generally speaking, charge and discharge at lower rates. When I say C, I mean C is the amp hour capacity of the battery. So these are 280 amp hour capacity batteries. If you charge them at 280 amp hours, you're charging them at 1C. And 0.5C is half, so 140 amp hours. So one last thing that is absolutely important that you really can't forget, that I almost forgot, is that these cells, the actual aluminum body of these cells is positive. It has a positive charge relative to the negative terminal. So all these batteries are all these cells are wrapped in a blue shrink wrap or some sort of wrapping, right? But let's say you wore that blue shrink wrap away, you removed it. If you put a voltmeter, the positive of the voltmeter here and the negative of the voltmeter here, you'd measure the voltage of the battery, right? So this is not neutral. The actual metal casing of the battery is not neutral. It's battery positive, right? So what does that mean? Well, that means that if you make a mistake, let's say you accidentally damage your cell and there's some exposed metal here, right? And then you accidentally touch that while you're touching the negative of the cell. That means the power could flow from the cell to you, right? That's a huge fire hazard, safety risk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So you have to, A, be really, really careful to protect the wrapping of these cells. But B, when you do finally put all these cells together, it might be a really good idea to put like maybe something that's insulating, not conducting electricity between each cell. Maybe it's something as thin piece of paper, or maybe a little bit of cardboard, or something like a really thin piece of plywood, or maybe plastic, whatever you can think of. But you might want to put something small and thin between your cells, so that if you do accidentally have a piece of error, you won't have some sort of accidental connection between the cells, or somehow create a fault that could allow you to hurt yourself, or damage your cells, or damage, or have the cells damage, the case that they're in. So, but most importantly, I just want everyone to be aware that under this blue wrapping is the metal casing of the cells, and that has a positive charge associated with it. That's not something I see discussed a lot, but like a lot of these top things, you can see how you could potentially peel these off. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use these cells. But if you got in there, absolutely, there is a charge associated with the case of the cells. It is battery positive, and the negative, there will be the voltage between the cell casing and the negative will be the actual voltage of the cell. And it's a real safety risk and a real hazard to you and the cells if this packaging is removed at all. Okay? So just be aware of that. Anyway, I hope this video was super useful. Please like or subscribe. Please ask any questions or comments.
Meow meow. So anyway, I'm ending the stream early today. Thank you so much guys for coming, and yeah, I'm gonna go now. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the Resi movie. I keep on saying I'm gonna watch it, but I never get to watching it. I don't know where to watch, and I really don't like to watch on my phone. It's gonna keep me up pretty late. But yeah, I'll see. And I'm gonna make pasta, maybe macaroni. So yeah, bye bye. Good night to me. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye.